Welcome to Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all of these Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. You can catch you on your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. We are here to preview game number one between your Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors, as the Mavericks have taken out the Utah Jazz and have taken out the Phoenix Suns, and now they are ready to take on Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson for the right to be able to play for an NBA championship if they are able to win the Western Conference, looking to do so for the very first time since their championship back in 2011. It's been a magical run and ride for this Dallas Mavericks team that now sees them in position to take on a team in the Golden State Warriors that took out the Denver Nuggets in the first round, dispatched to the Memphis Grizzlies in the Western Conference semifinals, and now take on a Dallas Mavericks team that, yes, beat them 3 out of 4 times this year, but the solace that the Golden State Warriors can take is that none of the big three collectively played together when it came to taking on the Dallas Mavericks this season, despite the fact that the Dallas Mavericks won 3 out of 4 games. Stephen Curry hasn't necessarily played great against the Dallas Mavericks this season. We all know that you can throw regular season stuff out the window when it comes to these two teams when you get to this deep into the playoffs. But nonetheless, that is something the Mavericks can take confidence in. Make sure you're hitting that like button, smashing that like button right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Really appreciate all you guys joining in here. We're going to have some fun today. Got a lot to talk about, obviously, as the Dallas Mavericks look to steal game one on the road. As obviously they're taking on a Golden State Warrior team that's looking to get back to the NBA Finals. They're looking for their 4th championship. Are Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and obviously Klay Thompson, and what they're looking to do to take out the Dallas Mavericks. Again, make sure you smash that like button. You become a member, a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. If you like the content here, right here on Kevin Gray Sports, if you got a super chat or a super sticker you want to throw in there, if you got some questions you want to throw in there, make sure you do so as we go through our game preview here as we get you ready for game one of the Western Conference Finals tonight. Tip off at 8 o'clock on TNT, the NBA Western Conference Finals exclusively on TNT. Tip off at 8 p.m. at the Chase Center in San Francisco. Michael Flores, good to see you, man. Appreciate you joining me here. Brian, fitness instructor, appreciate you joining. He says Mavs in 6 if we could steal one in either game 1 or 2. Hey, that's always the goal, right? Baseline everything when it comes to the road team in situations like this. Find a way to get a split and get it back to your home building with an opportunity to protect home court. If you have the opportunity to, Cowboy, one of our Gray Area Club members, again, you can join like Cowboy has just for a few bucks a month to become a Gray Area Club member. He says, I think the Mavs will do well if they can keep Golden State off the free throw line. Yeah, we know that guys like Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry live at the free throw line, and they will punish you if you foul them and get them, and you're getting yourself into foul trouble. Michael says in our Mavs YouTube chat room, I've never seen Boban that mad. That was scary. Maybe not since John Wick. Have you seen Boban that upset at the end of a game? But hey, all's well that ends well. You don't want to show up Boban even in that kind of situation. But hey, he's all good, all smiles. Him and Luka obviously joking and laughing as they're getting ready for practice yesterday. Again, if you're in the YouTube chat room, make sure you're smashing that like button. Tell your friends, tell your family, come on in. It's Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Obviously, it has been fun to watch this Mavericks team. Before we get into anything specific, obviously, the fact that this team is here in the Western Conference Finals is just a testament to how well this team has played throughout this postseason, the way that they absolutely dismantled the Phoenix Suns. I kept tweeting out at Kevin Gray Sports, I had never seen anything like that in a Game 7 on the road by a team who was not supposed to win that series, was not supposed to win Game 7, but they absolutely took the heart and soul of the Phoenix Suns in Game 7. The barrage of three-pointers, your man Spencer Dinwiddie showing up with 30 big points in that game. We obviously knew what Luka Doncic was going to do, and he was able to get some help from a lot of guys that was able to help him get that win in game number 7. From Yo Squiggly Man, hey, Kevin, who was the X factor in this series? It's the guy that I just mentioned. It's Spencer Dinwiddie. You saw how the complexion of Game 7 changed when Spencer Dinwiddie came out aggressive, was hitting shots in rhythm, hitting three-pointers in rhythm. He changed the entire complexion of how that game looked. If he can be that second scorer or that third scorer, I should say, alongside Jalen Brunson and, of course, Luka Doncic, they're going to give the Golden State Warriors a lot of issues. Now, Golden State is pretty athletic when you start looking at guys like Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins. Obviously, Jordan Poole has kind of regressed a little bit as this playoffs has gone on, but he's extremely capable, especially on the offensive end. They're going to try and throw multiple bodies at a guy like Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie to try and take them off rhythm. We'll get into more specifics as our show goes on here, but that's my initial thought, is that Spencer Dinwiddie is going to have to be an X factor. You saw what he did in Game 6 in the closeout game against the Utah Jazz. You saw what he did in Game 7 of the closeout game. He started to have his moments in the Suns series, especially as the series went on. His shot making is going to be extremely important for the Dallas Mavericks to find that measure of consistency to be able to take out this Golden State Warriors team. Let's see here. Jab, what's up? Appreciate you joining us in our YouTube chat room right here. Frosty Nugs, I see you in here. Frosty Nugs 41 says Mavs in 5. We're going to get to some predictions, some series predictions as the show goes on as well, and figure out how you guys are feeling about the Mavericks and what the prediction is going to look like going into not only tonight's game, but obviously for the rest of this series. From Jab, hey, Kevin, who is going to guard Luka? That's a fantastic question. I think we were just mentioning it just a second ago. Multiple bodies are going to be thrown at Luka Doncic. I expect Klay Thompson. I expect Andrew Wiggins. I expect Jonathan Kuminga. But to me, the Dallas Mavericks have the best player in this series. When I was looking at how this Western and Eastern Conference Finals were going to be looking, I was talking about this on 105 through the Fan about who I would rank as the best players left in this Eastern and Western Conference Finals. Obviously, Jimmy Butler has made a great case to be one of those guys. I had going into the Western and Eastern Conference Finals, Luka Doncic, Stephen Curry, Jason Tatum, and Jimmy Butler. Now, if you told me, hey, I got Jason Tatum ahead of Stephen Curry, I've got Jimmy Butler ahead of Stephen Curry, I wouldn't disagree with you in that case. The only reason why I have Stephen Curry as my number 2 guy is really based on the pedigree and the guy who can continue to get better as the playoffs go on. I expect him to be at his best in this series against the Dallas Mavericks and what that looks like for him. But Jimmy Butler was fantastic at 41 points against Boston in Game 1. Jason Tatum didn't necessarily play great in the second half against Miami. He was really good in the first half, really fell off in the second half. But those are my 4 best players. Luka Doncic, though, being at number 1, regardless of the other 3 that you have in that top 4. Luka Doncic is the best player on the floor. And as Michael Flores says, nobody can guard Luka. And that, to me, is the most fascinating part of this series, because here's several scenarios as you start looking at this on how this could look from the Dallas Mavericks offensively. Luka Doncic can go pick and hunt whomever he wants to defensively for the Golden State Warriors. We know that Stephen Curry has never been a great defender in this league. We know that Klay Thompson is not necessarily the same guy that he was several years ago when you looked at him as one of the best two-way players in the league. Defensively, not the same. Athletically, not the same. Obviously, dealing with the ACL and then coming back from the Achilles injury. Draymond Green is their best defender, but having him on an island trying to defend Luka is not necessarily the best idea. I love Luka Doncic's chances against a guy like Jonathan Kuminga or Andrew Wiggins, who he can use his physicality and his strength to punish those guys in the post if he decides to do so. He could do whatever he wants and whomever he wants in this series when it comes to who is guarding him going forward. Appreciate you in our YouTube chat room. Make sure you're smashing that like button as we get you ready for the Mavericks taking on the Golden State Warriors as we are inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. From Mark Clee here. Did the Suns stop hunting Luka in later games, or did he play better defense so he didn't get hunted? Do the Suns have an offense that can expose Luka's weaker defense? I think for Luka, when it comes to things on the defensive end, it's about try hard for him. He's a capable defender when he wants to be, when he's engaged defensively. And then when you start having him getting into passing lanes, he had 4 steals in a game against the Suns in the past series. There are a lot of things that he can do when he puts forward the effort to be able to that guy on the defensive end. I don't think it wasn't the fact that they stopped hunting him. He showed a measure of capability that made it much more difficult for the Suns to hunt him when it came to matchups. You saw him get better defensively as the postseason or that series went on against the Phoenix Suns there. Michael Flores, who left of all the MVP players that got votes? Oh, yeah, Luka, the real MVP, as he's talking about. Luka Doncic there. Ruben, what's up, man? Good to see you here in our YouTube chat room. Spencer will continue to prove he's a great pickup. He will help the bench outscore the Warriors bench, and that will be the game. Yeah, if you're talking about an early X factor in this series, the Mavericks bench versus the Golden State Warriors bench, with guys like Spencer Dinwiddie coming off the bench, Maxi Kleber coming off the bench with his ability to stretch the floor from the three-point line, his versatility on the defensive end. I like the Mavericks bench and what they're able to do against Golden State and what they're going to be, because Golden State is top-heavy when you look at their starting five with obviously Steph, Clay, Draymond, Andrew Wiggins, who, yes, was an all-star this year. I like the Mavericks bench, though, to have the edge in this series as far as the Mavericks and the Warriors are concerned. From Cowboy here, Powell makes offensive fouls quite often during the pick and roll, plus he makes unnecessary fouls. I wonder if Kidd pulls him for those reasons. Look, he'll have his chances early on in this series with the pick and roll stuff and the screen and roll stuff with obviously Luka Doncic. Now, the ability to draw Draymond Green away from the basket, the ability to bring Kevon Looney away from the basket. That's the thing about this series when you start looking at Golden State and how they're going to have to defensively go after the Mavericks. They don't necessarily have a legitimate post presence that threatens you defensively when you think about the Mavericks attacking them on the offensive end. So if Dwight Powell can be able to use his athleticism, be able to stay out of foul trouble, there will be opportunities, I think, for him to be able to use the screen and roll and the pick and roll stuff to be able to get to the rim. And we know he's a terrific rim runner and his ability to finish at the rim with Luka Doncic and him and the pick and roll. The thing you have to account for, obviously, Draymond Green's basketball IQ is extremely high. He's a smart defender, a obviously terrific defender, and has been there, done that, and seen pretty much everything in this league. So I think there'll be some opportunities there, but he's got to stay out of foul trouble when it comes to what their abilities are on the offensive end going up against the Golden State Warriors. From Yo Squiggly Man, I've seen a lot of disrespect from Warriors fans. Hey, man, Warriors fans better be careful what they wish for. Again, I know that when you look at the matchups in the regular season between the Warriors and the Mavericks, that Steph, Clay, and Draymond, all three of them weren't on the floor together at the same time. But this does not mean that this team isn't confident and capable of what they're doing, of what they're capable of doing against the Golden State Warriors. Remember, they just beat the Phoenix Suns, who was the best team in the league, 8 games clear of the next best team record-wise in this league. They've got a lot of confidence brewing about what they feel like they can do. And more importantly, I don't know if you saw the video of Luka Doncic yesterday. My man feels comfortable. He feels like he's in the moment. That's a scary thought if you're watching Luka Doncic just run around with a smile on his face during practice yesterday. He's ready for this moment. I think his teammates will be ready for the moment as well. Make sure you're smashing that like button right here on Kevin Gray Sports. We are inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you give me a follow there on all my social media platforms. From SSKR11, let's go Mavs. From Eddie Powell, 10 points average from the alley-oops. That's kind of what we were talking about there. From Squiggly Man, do the Mavs match up well defensively against the Warriors? I think they do, and here's why I'll say that. Now, look, you'll not always be able to stop Stephen Curry. When you face a guy who is as prolific of a scorer and as great of a handle as he has, you're not going to always stop him. But what you can do, much like you did against Devin Booker and Chris Paul, is make things difficult for those guys. Make things difficult for Klay Thompson. Now, the thing about Klay is Klay doesn't necessarily do a lot of dribbling. He comes off a lot of screens, comes off a lot of action. So he's not necessarily going to be a guy who's going to threaten you with dribbling the basketball. So you could stay close to him with guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, with obviously guys like Reggie Bullock and what they're capable of on the perimeter defensively. That, to me, is going to be what you have to watch for in this series when he talks about the defense of the Mavericks going up against the offense of the Golden State Warriors. They run a lot of action. Stephen Curry obviously runs off a lot of screens, a lot of curls. He does a lot of movement without the basketball, which makes him so lethal. And even when he does have the ball in his hands, his ability to take guys off the dribble and to get into the paint and still be able to be a good enough passer to find guys is what makes him lethal. But you have to watch him, obviously, with all the action that he does to be able to keep up with him. So Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, all of these guys are going to take their turns on Stephen Curry and will have to be able to find a way to use their length, their strength, because they will not be able to stay with him from a quickness standpoint. I know he's 34 years old, but at the same time, he's still quicker than both of those guys and still can find a way to be a crafty guy that still gets to the rim. How they use their physicality and their length to try and bother Stephen Curry and try to wear him down as this series goes on will have to be something that you look for when it comes to the Mavericks defensively going up against the Golden State Warriors offensively in this series. Let's see here. From Bert Juarez, it's crazy that the Mavs are here, and yet we're still missing Tyson Chandler. Look, the Mavericks don't have a legitimate defensive presence in the middle that's going to block shots at the rim, alter shots at the rim. They have to use their collective defense when it comes to guarding guys on the perimeter. Maxi Kleber's great off the weak side when it comes to blocking shots, being a help defender. There are a lot of things that he's capable of doing, but you don't necessarily have that rim protector. But in a series like this, Golden State's going to take a lot of jump shots. Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, Wiggins, they're going to take a lot of jump shots. There will be times where they attack the rim. And if I'm the Golden State Warriors, I'm constantly trying to put pressure on the rim and trying to finish and attack the rim with Andrew Wiggins, with Stephen Curry's ability to finish, as well as trying to be able to knock down open shots from the outside. More importantly, the Golden State Warriors like to speed you up. They like to play a little bit quicker. How Luka Doncic and this Mavericks offense controls the pace of the game, averaging over 20 seconds of possession. They like to take the shot clock down to try and wear out teams in terms of their movement. They'll need to have that movement be on display in this series to be able to wear out the Golden State Warriors come this playoff series. Make sure you're smashing the like button here. It's Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Let's see here from Batista 002. How many minutes do you think Ntilikina will play? Do you expect us pressing Curry full court like what we did on CP3? Look, I don't expect him to press him as much. I think Stephen Curry is a better ball handler and will be able to exploit some of that. But Ntilikina will, I think, see his time in this series. Josh Green, when you looked at what he did in the last series, the matchup was just better from a physicality and a length standpoint. And Frank Ntilikina is just a better defender. So he'll take his turns on Jordan Poole. He'll take his turns on Stephen Curry. He'll take his turns on Klay Thompson at times. But I think Ntilikina will have a big presence in the series once again because they have found something with his defense and how consistent he was, especially when he got after Chris Paul and Devin Booker at times during the semifinals. So I expect Frank Ntilikina to see significant time in this series when it comes to what his abilities are on the defensive end. From Sam here on our YouTube chat room. At this point, whatever happens. The Mavs feel like they're playing with house money, and that's a good thing. That's an overriding theme in this playoffs for the Mavericks. I said, look, the expectation for me was for them to win a first-round series. They did that. I picked the Suns in 7 to beat the Dallas Mavericks. I thought it would be an extremely competitive series, which in a lot of ways it wasn't because of all the blowouts that were in the series, even though the series did go 7 games. But I said anything beyond winning a first-round series is gravy for the Mavericks. And the fact that they are here, and Dorian Finney-Smith said it yesterday, yeah, we're playing with house money. Nobody expected this team to be here. No one expected them to get to this position where they are right now. They should be the looser team, the team that plays with a joy and a sense of freedom to be able to walk into Golden State and be able to handle their business and play with fun and have fun like Jason Kidd likes to talk about. But no, that's a great point, Sam. They're playing with that kind of house money going forward there. Mark, KG, would the Mavs be better if they had a defensive presence in the middle? I feel like lots of those guys get played off the floor in the postseason. Is there someone out there for them to add this offseason? I mean, look, someone I mentioned earlier in the chat room, and I think it was Michael. Yeah, DeAndre Ayton will be available. He'll be a restricted free agent. Who knows how that looks? We've heard the rumblings and the rumors about Rudy Gobert. We're not going to necessarily get into all of that during this particular show, but there's rumors and rumblings out there about him possibly becoming a Maverick. They will need a defensive anchor, I think, and a better center at this during this offseason when it comes to the Mavericks, especially if you believe that they can continue to grow defensively. A center who can protect the rim, can rebound, and erase offensive possessions by now allowing second chance points or second chance rebounds is going to be huge, because regardless, this team throughout the course of the season has been terrible when it comes to allowing, offensive rebounding, second chance points. They cannot do that in this series to give themselves the best opportunity to win. Again, make sure you're smashing that like button right here. It is Inside the Mavs Live here on Kevin Gray Sports. Again, my name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you give me a follow there on all the social media platforms throughout the course of our show here. If you got a super chat, you got a question you want to throw in there, make sure you throw your super chat in there. You can become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month if you would like to. We'd really appreciate that if you did. From Eddie, I think Green and Ntilikina are interchangeable. Depends on what you need. Green gives you energy and rebounds. Frank, better defense, but not attacky as much as Green. Yeah, Green's a good passer. Josh Green has proven to be a good passer, still working on the three-point shot, not nearly as consistent enough to be able to be a guy that you can depend on offensively, because teams are going to leave him wide open for three-pointers. But a guy, and when it comes to Frank Ntilikina, even though he's not a great three-point shooter, is still a little bit better three-point shooter at this time than he is than Josh Green. So I think Ntilikina will still find more minutes than Green because his defense is better and more consistent. And I think on the occasion could knock down a three-pointer that could really help you in a series like this, where, look, the math is going to be stupid in this series because you know how much, the Golden State Warriors like to shoot threes and knock down threes when it comes to their offense. Again, make sure you're smashing that like button right here on Kevin Gray Sports, right here inside the Mavs Live here on Kevin Gray Sports. Let's see here. JP Swole, great content, KG. Is Tim Hardaway Jr. out for the rest of the year, or can he possibly be back? Yeah, Tim Hardaway and Nico Harrison, who was on 105 through the Fan, and we've heard multiple reports. I reported it as well. Tim Hardaway is not going to play in these playoffs. As much as it would be great to have THJ back, he's not going to play in these playoffs. He's still recovering from the Jones fracture in his foot. He will not be available. Has already been ruled out for game number 1 tonight. Unfortunately, we will not see Tim Hardaway Jr. During these playoffs. It would be nice to obviously have another sniper from the three-point line. We know he's kind of streaky when it comes to that shooting, but at the same time, no, he will not be available in this series or for the playoffs. Pat, good to see you here. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Luka Skywalker, another one of our Gray Area Club members for just a few bucks a month. Again, if you want to become a Gray Area member like Cowboy, like Luka Skywalker 77, make sure you drop in a few bucks. You can become a Gray Area Club member right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Luka Skywalker 77, good to see you. Let's see here. Watching that clip of Kid coaching Doe at the top of his lungs makes you feel like we could take it all the way. That clip has gone viral, man. And I think it's a great point that you bring up, because I'm not going to lie to you. Jason Kidd has made me eat a lot of crow during these playoffs. I said when he got hired, obviously the way things ended in Brooklyn and Milwaukee, I didn't know if he would be able to be a guy that could have evolved from what he learned from his first two coaching stops, and then obviously spending the last 2 years prior to coming to the Mavericks this season, if he had evolved as a coach. And he has. And you give him a lot of credit for understanding his players, developing the relationship with his guys, and that they have quickly learned how to trust and believe what he is selling to them on the defensive end. And that's been the biggest turnaround for this team this season. And that moment was a great, great illustration of how much he's invested into them on the defensive end, how much they appreciate his communication. And he's a player's coach, and he has put himself in a terrific spot to be the long-term leader of this team, getting them beyond where they have been in obviously 11 years and getting to be on the brink of possibly playing for the NBA championship in his first year as a coach. Jason Kidd deserves a ton of credit for what he's going to be able to do going forward for this team. For Frosty Nuts. Look, there's a lot of questions about Jason Kidd. His first 2 stops in Brooklyn and in Milwaukee, he had proven he wasn't necessarily good at this. So it is what it is for him. And I had a healthy skepticism. Trust me, Frosty Nugs. A lot of us had a healthy skepticism on whether or not this was going to be a hire and to be the right hire. And I'm just talking about not just guys like myself. I'm talking about, the real insiders, the real people like myself and others who cover this team closely, who follow this team, who even with the hiring of Jason Kidd, there was a lot of questions on whether or not. So trust me, I'm not the only one who had those same trust issues given what Jason Kidd had proven during his first 2 stops at Brooklyn and, of course, in Milwaukee. Tomas, hello from Slovenia. Hey there. Appreciate you joining us here inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports for Frosty Nuts 41. He wanted Chip as an assistant coach. And I know you're talking about him as a player when he was with the Dallas Mavericks. Just because you have that kind of success when it comes to being a player, and we know how great of a floor general he was and a point guard he was, sometimes that doesn't necessarily translate. But the larger point is he was able to evolve, grow as a coach, learning from not just his first 2 stops, but more importantly, he talks about it all the time. And I asked him that actually before in Game 7 when it came to after the game was, what prepared him for that moment? And he specifically said, Frank Vogel and what I learned from him is the biggest reason why I'm in this moment right now. And that's a credit to him and his ability to learn, having grown from there. Again, Tomas, appreciate you joining us here. He says, look, Mavs champions 2022. Hey, that's the collective feeling when it comes to what he's got going on when it comes to a championship for the Mavericks. So let's get into this. Obviously, look, Game 1 tonight on the road against the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks having an opportunity to get back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2011. Give me some things that you guys are looking for as we go through our conversation here about what you feel like has to be done for the Mavericks to steal Game 1 on the road. And for me, point number 1 for the Mavericks tonight going into Game 1, which I think they learned in a big way in Game 1 of the Sun series, weather the storm. The Golden State Warriors are going to try and come out in those first 5 minutes and try to overwhelm the Dallas Mavericks with the crowd noise, the 3-point shooting with Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, trying to blitz them early and to establish a tone that, hey, we're the team with the pedigree. We're the team, although we are different. Obviously, no Kevin Durant on this team anymore. We are a little bit older, a little bit more grizzlied when it comes to a little more seasoned when it comes to our play on the floor. We're still the team to beat given what we have on our side. With, yes, an older Stephen Curry, yes, a more older Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, but still a very dangerous team, a more athletic team that likes to get after you on the defensive end. They will try to set that tone early. And if the Mavericks can weather that early storm, they will be able to keep themselves in it throughout the course of not just Game 1 on the road or Game 2, but throughout the course of this entire series. For Mark here, can the Mavs keep up the 3-point shooting performance? They're going to have to. And I'm not saying they got to make 23s a game, but at the same time, they're going to have to shoot pretty consistently throughout this series because the Golden State Warriors can bend the math very quickly when it comes to how good they are from beyond the arc. And that obviously starts with Stephen Curry and obviously Klay Thompson, what their abilities are when you look at their ability to shoot from the 3-point line. And they will have their full roster. And I think that's a huge thing for them is that they feel confident about their roster going into it. Look, you could talk about all the storylines, Jason Kidd being from the Bay Area, the last time and the only time that the Mavericks and the Warriors faced each other in the playoffs was back in 2007 when Dirk was the league MVP. It was the We Believe Warriors, and they upset the 67-win team, in the Dallas Mavericks back in 07. Like, you could talk about all the histrionics. It's about putting now all of that to bed when it comes to what the Mavericks, this version of the Mavericks, are trying to do going forward here. Let's see here from Batista 002 here. Focus on shutting down Curry and make Klay and Jordan Poole beat you. Look, we mentioned it earlier. You're never going to completely stop Stephen Curry. It's not a thing. But how can you slow him down? Remember, in one of the wins in Dallas earlier this regular season, Stephen Curry didn't take a shot in the fourth quarter. They were able to put the clamps on him defensively. That, to me, was an outlier at the time, but that just gives you a window into the defensive thinking of the Dallas Mavericks. Make things as difficult on him, even with all the actions, all the curls off the screens, all the flare screens, all the things that he does from a movement standpoint. You've got to be able to keep up with that throughout the course of a 7-game series going forward here. From Eric Hudson here, in our Mavs YouTube chat room. Coaching, I believe that will win the series. That's a great point. Jason Kidd coached circles around Quinn Snyder, and he did the same against Monty Williams. What I wasn't necessarily expecting, that Monty Williams was the NBA Coach of the Year, and I thought deservedly so. But Jason Kidd was the one that made the adjustments as the series went on, and were able to make the best adjustments that allowed them to win the series. So Jason Kidd, I can't believe I'm saying this, I think has a slight coaching edge from an X's and O's standpoint. Don't get me wrong, Steve Kerr's got a terrific staff. Mike Brown, who's been in NBA Finals before as a head coach with LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, is going to be the next head coach of the Sacramento Kings. He's got a terrific staff there. But Jason Kidd's staff has been terrific this postseason. You give credit to Sean Sweeney, Greg St. Jean, running that offense, with Kokoshkov. They've got a terrific staff, and they have gotten the most out of this team, and they'll look to do the same during the course of this series. Let's see here from Lexter. Lexter Ang, Holt Spencer, and Brunson Bring It. MFFL. Philip, I appreciate that joining us here in our YouTube chat room right here on Kevin Gray Sports. From Eddie, I think the Warriors morale, can drop a lot if they get beaten with full roster in the first two games. This is a team that's not going to quit, though. You're going to have to take them out and beat them. I think they'll still have a lot of confidence, even if they lose a game or two on their home floor. Luka Skywalker, 77. The Mavs are streak busters, record breakers, and history makers. Oh, I like that. Bars, I like that. I think the Golden State's perfect home playoff record is in jeopardy. Yeah, this is a team who has won on their home floor and has consistently beaten teams on their home floor. The Mavericks are not going to be scared of that environment, and they'll walk in with a lot of confidence in going into this game. Let's see here. For Michael Flores, we have to frustrate Stephen Curry early and often. Agree with that. Cowboy here also, the Mavs having a healthy roster is important. Yep, the way that they've been able to come out clean throughout these playoffs, they have been able to put themselves in that position to be able to have so. For Frosty, they haven't been here before. Yeah, not necessarily in the situation when it comes to, going up against, Phoenix or going up against Golden State in this type of environment. What they have, though, is, and I think that was one of the more underrated parts that I think a lot of us, including me, forgot about. The Mavericks have Game 7 experience with Luka Doncic and these guys. You remember last year against the Los Angeles Clippers, although they lost by 15, they were in a Game 7. That was an underrated part, and I think a forgotten part about their experience going into Game 7 on the road. They had played a Game 7 against Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers the previous season. A lot of those guys knew what that environment had to feel like. I know it was a little bit different because obviously it was still during COVID and it wasn't nearly as big a crowd, but still playing Game 7 on the road was big for them, and I know what that means now for this team going forward here. Let's see, from Eddie, Luka was here a lot, is a game changer for us. He won the EuroLeague. Yeah, all the conversations about, when it comes to, his EuroLeague experiences playing in front of louder crowds and all the things. He understands the kinds of difficult environments, and I think he'll be very comfortable in this environment. From Lexter here, how's Brunson? He had that scary knee. Yeah, when Holiday during garbage time. Hope he's healthy. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, Jalen Brunson said he's good. I believe him. He's good. I think he'll be just fine going forward for the rest of the season. But great question there. He's good to go. Cody, hey, Kevin, what's up? Appreciate you joining us here. It's Inside the Mavs Live right here. Our Mavericks Warriors Western Conference Game 1 preview. Can Luka Doncic and company steal game number 1 on the road? Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. You can become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. Also, you can join. Super chat. Throw that in there as well. Tell your friends. Tell everybody, come on in. It's Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Again, make sure you smash that like button. So you got 87 people now. Let's get that thing up to 100. And make sure you smash that like button while you're here as well. So, look, a few things to watch for in game number 1 tonight. The Mavericks supporting cast, Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie. How they come out in game number 1 tonight is going to be huge. Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, their defense on the perimeter, going up against Klay Thompson, going up against Stephen Curry. Obviously, they're going to try and put pressure on them early in offense to try and get them out of rhythm, but they've got to stay disciplined. And more importantly, they've got to stay out of foul trouble. That was one of the things that we saw in the Suns series, is that guys like Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith at times were getting in foul trouble on the road. Got to stay out of foul trouble got to be able to remain on the floor because you can't get out of rhythm early and expect to be in this game if you're the Dallas Mavericks. Staying out of foul trouble is going to be key number one for me when you start looking at keys to victory for Jalen Brunson and Dorian Finney-Smith. They've got to remain on the floor because you know that Dorian Finney-Smith is going to play heavy minutes in this series. Has played heavy minutes throughout the course of this playoffs. From Cowboy here, one of our gray area club members. One of the Mavs' past issues was the team couldn't keep a lead during the third quarter. Also, they couldn't come back from a large margin. I think those issues are gone. Yeah, they developed a lot of confidence. They got to get off to a good start, much like how they did in Game 5 against the Suns, even though we know how things turned out, especially with that debacle of the third quarter. They got to come out to a great start. They were able to do so, obviously, in Game 7 and destroyed the will of the Phoenix Suns. Come out, set a tone early that, hey, we belong. A lot of people feel like this team, even with the run that they had, don't necessarily belong here. The Mavericks believe that they belong, and they're going to have to prove that when it comes to this game tonight. From Michael Macy here, people don't give enough credit to Luka's experience in high-pressure games in the Euro League. Also, Brunson in national championship games, terrific point. Jalen Brunson, been there, done that, two-time national champion with Villanova. Luka Doncic, all of his Euro League experience, obviously leading Slovenia to the Olympics for the very first time. He knows how to play in pressure situations. And my man's averaging 33 points a game in the playoffs. He's averaging over 35 points a game in elimination games. My man knows a little something about pressure and how to handle that. It's about the rest of the guys coming with him to be able to handle that situation going forward for the rest of these playoffs. From Cody here. Do you think this is any different than the other teams the Mavs have faced? I personally think we're still being doubted, but we'll show up once again. I think a lot of people are still doubting this team. And look, they haven't been this deep in the playoffs for 11 years. But what they have proven so far in these playoffs, it doesn't matter. The Suns, the way that they played against them, they blew them out in each of the home games that they had. They were able to put that together on the road in Game 7. The way that they took out the look, the Mavericks, when you look at the first two series, what's the common thread of both of those series? They won the clinching game on the road. They closed out Utah in Game 6 on the road. They closed out the Phoenix Suns in Game 7 on the road. This team is extremely confident no matter where they play and who they need to play that they can finish teams off. And that, to me, is a big sign about the maturation of a team that you can walk into an opposing team's gym in a closeout situation and handle your business. That's exactly what they did in Game 6 against Utah and in Game 7 against the Phoenix Suns. Appreciate got over 100 people watching right now. Again, make sure you tell everyone to come on in. It's Inside the Mavs Live. Got 107 people in. Make sure you're smashing that like button and making sure you're letting people know that you can come in Inside the Mavs Live to get you ready for the Mavericks taking on the Warriors in Game 1 tonight, 8 o'clock tip-off on TNT, the Western Conference Finals exclusively on TNT. Also, don't forget, you can join me at 1 o'clock today, exclusively on 105 Through the Fan. Go follow 105 Through the Fan on Twitter. I'm hosting exclusive spaces as well to talk Mavs Warriors Game 1 tonight at 1 o'clock. So make sure you follow 105 Through the Fan. Be hosting the spaces there to be able to talk about the game tonight as well. Let's see here from Eddie. I think they play more confident. Let's see here from K Hardy. I appreciate you, K Hardy, jumping in here as well. Let's get Draymond mad so he can get 2 technical fouls. That's another underrated part of this series, right? Obviously, the chippiness, the trash talk. Luka Doncic talking about the healthy respect that he has for Draymond Green. There's going to be a lot of chippiness in this series. You're going to get a lot of trash talk from Luka. You're going to get a lot of those Luka moments that we all know and love. But he's got to stay composed and stay in the moment as well, not getting into chirping with the officials and do what he does because this team is going to need him and be at his very best, obviously, to win a game, to win the series, obviously. From Eddie, the Suns were not that tough mentally as the first 2 games the Warriors are. Yep, the Mavericks are going to face a Warriors team that knows how to win these kinds of games. As we mentioned, a different version of the Warriors. It reminds me a lot of how the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, right? Dominant force together, winning championships, won 3 championships in a row. But then once they moved on from Shaquille O'Neal, it became Kobe's team. It was a different kind of Kobe that was able to lead guys like Pau Gasol and others looked different, but still had the same kind of championship medal and mentality. And that started with the leadership of Kobe Bryant at the time. Same thing with the Golden State Warriors. No Kevin Durant, a different version, a different team that won those 2 championships with Kevin Durant when he was there, but still the championship medal of Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, and Draymond Green. Those guys will still be able to be there, and obviously they'll need to be at their very best going forward. From Frosty Nuts, that Grizz series was not a good look without Ja. Look, man, real quick aside, I love Memphis. I love Memphis and what they've got going forward here. Obviously, they're an up-and-coming young team that could have had a chance. Who knows how that series looks if Ja Morant is able to remain healthy and he doesn't have that knee injury. We could be talking about the Memphis Grizzlies in this series instead of the Golden State Warriors. From Cowboy here, I think the Mavs have to play at their own pace. The Warriors and Masters are getting teams to try and play at that high pace. Yeah, the Golden State Warriors like to speed you up. They like to be able to get into their actions quickly and to try and push the pace. The Mavericks, we know, love to dominate time of possession. Luka Doncic dominating the ball when it comes to time of possession. But here's the thing, and we've talked about this, and I've talked about this before with others. The key with the Mavericks is this. Yes, they like to take the shot clock down. They like to wear out the clock when it comes to the overall time clock, overall shot clock. But here's what that does to you. That puts a lot of pressure on your offense to execute. Because if you're taking possessions down to 5, 4, and 3 seconds into the, deep into the shot clock, you've got to find a way to capitalize on those possessions. The efficiency at which the Mavericks have to play with in order to capitalize on that kind of strategy is key for them in this series. If you're going to dominate the time of possession the way that you are, you've got to be able to capitalize. Because here's the thing. If you take the shot clock down to 4, 5, and 4 and 3 seconds and you come up empty, the Warriors are ready to push the basketball and to get out in transition. And we know that they are lethal when it comes to transition three-pointers with Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry. They will make you pay, and you could have a lot of empty possessions if you take the shot clock down and then be on the other end of a barrage of three-pointers that could really turn the math quickly in a series like this. So if you're going to be able to implement that strategy where you're taking the clock down, getting into your offensive sets, which is what they have to do much more better and much more quickly. But most importantly, you've got to capitalize and be able to score. Otherwise, you can find yourself getting involved in a track meet that you do not want to get involved with when it comes to the Golden State Warriors, especially when they're able to get out and hit threes in transition. From JJ here in our Mavs YouTube chat room, I went to the playoffs in 2011 and we won. When I went back this year and look where we're at. We got this, believe like 2011. Was down 15 with 5 minutes to go and came back and won the whole thing. For Frosty Nuts, let's see. Spence, Bertans, JB, better than Bielitsa, Lee, and Jordan Poole. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier in terms of the bench of the Dallas Mavericks. I think it's a little bit better. Obviously, when it comes to look, Otto Porter Jr., good player for Golden State, fits what they need to do well. Bielitsa, good player who actually at times used to kill the Mavericks. I don't know if you remember, but when he was with the Sacramento Kings, my man used to kill the Dallas Mavericks with his ability to shoot the ball from the outside. So Bielitsa could be an X factor for them because he loves, for some reason, Bielitsa loves playing against the Dallas Mavericks. So watch out for him as well. Let's see here. We're better. That's crazy to say. And Maxey. There you go. Let's see from Basel here. Warriors in 7. Start throwing in your predictions for this series. Make sure you smash that like button here inside the Mavs Live here on Kevin Gray Sports. Again, my name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. And also you can subscribe to Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. You can also become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. And also you can throw in a super chat, super stick if you want to show your support here. Really appreciate that right here on Inside the Mavs Live. So again, Luka Doncic, how does he top himself in this series? Is obviously going to be fun to watch as well. We start looking at the overall preview of this series. And obviously, we know that the Golden State Warriors love their strength in numbers mantra, right? They know that they can try to overwhelm guys with the sheer amount of stuff that they have. Jordan Poole obviously has blossomed at points during this series, has fallen off a little bit. But more importantly, they've got guys, when you look at Golden State, to be able to handle themselves in situations like this. They will draw on the experiences of Klay Thompson, of Draymond Green, and, of course, Stephen Curry. From K. Hardy, He's predicting that the Mavs win game 1, 98-93. Cody says that the Mavs in 6, buddy. Hey, look, I've seen a little bit more respect for the Mavericks from some of the national people after what they did to Phoenix. And how could you not, right? They went on the road in game 7 and dismantled the Phoenix Suns in that decisive game 7 that I think changed a lot of minds about how people feel about the Mavericks going into this series. From Cowboy. Let's see here. Dallas needs to make their free throws and avoid turnovers. Teams can't make any mistakes against Golden State. Excellent point. You cannot find yourself turning the ball over against this Golden State Warriors team. They will make you pay with their shot making. They will make you pay at the free throw line if you find yourself getting into foul trouble if you're the Dallas Mavericks. You cannot make mental mistakes against this team. They're too good. They're too smart. They've got too many savvy veterans on this team led by the big three that they have to think that you can make mistakes and not get away with it. You cannot do that in this series against the Golden State Warriors. From Frosty Nut 41, Mavs in 5. I've seen a little more Mavs in 5, predictions, running around when it comes to this Warriors Golden State series. I'm going to say I'm not sure that this thing will go more or go less than 5 games or less. I think we're talking about a 6 and or 7 game series when it comes to the Mavericks and the Warriors. But hey, I love the confidence though in terms of Mavs in 5. But look, we talked about this and we'll continue to talk about it. The bench of the Dallas Mavericks has to be key. The shot making, we saw how well that they do with this team. It's been the same thing for this team all season long. But the Mavericks are knocking down 3-pointers. They are a very, very difficult team to beat. And you saw how difficult it was for the Suns to handle their business in game 7. They couldn't do it because of the barrage of 3-pointers and the missed shots that they made. You saw the threes that they made was able to bend the math quickly for them going forward there. Let's see here. Q-Dog, appreciate Q-Dog joining us in here in our Mavs YouTube chat room. You could become a Gray Area club member like Luka Skywalker 77, like Cowboy, like Q-Dog, who's also in here. You can become a Gray Area club member for just a few bucks a month, just like they are. Q-Dog, good to see you here. Hey, Kevin Gray, the national media all have egg on their faces now. They're backtracking. Yeah, they're doing that Michael Jackson moonwalk. They moonwalking that thing back. You're right, Q-Dog. He says Mavs in 6. From Luka Skywalker 77, Mavs in 6. Burt Juarez, no one is winning this series in 4 or 5. My mind says Golden State in 6, but my heart says Mavs in 7. Luka Skywalker says, let's go Boston. We'd have home court in that series. That's an excellent point. If the Mavericks do win the Western Conference Finals and they take on the Boston Celtics, the Mavericks would actually have home court advantage in the NBA Finals. That's just amazing, an amazing thought to think about. But, we'll, as the series gets deeper and deeper, we can get into some of that. From Tomas, Mavs in 5. So that's my second Mavs in 5 prediction here on Inside the Mavs Live here on Kevin Gray Sports. Again, love the confidence, love the bravado. I'm not necessarily ready to go there yet in terms of the series being 5 games or less, but I like the confidence in what people are saying here. Again, make sure you smash that like button. Got 116 people in here, 113 people now. Make sure you smash that like button here if you're inside the Mavs Live with us right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Smash that like button, get that video out there so people can come in and watch and have some fun with us as well. Let's see, from Basil here. I think a team like the Mavs that has one player that carries that they don't deserve the championship. That's my look. The Mavericks have gotten a lot of help from a lot of different guys, and I think the biggest example of that, obviously, is what happened in Game 7. Now, I know it was really just Jalen Brunson, Doncic, and Dinwiddie who combined for 89 of the points that they scored in Game 7. So you really have those 3 guys mainly doing the scoring. But they've proven throughout the course of these playoffs they can get other guys to come with him. And if that's the case, this Mavericks team doesn't just have Luka Doncic. They have other guys that can help. And again, harkening back to the 2011 championship team, they had other guys, Jason Terry, Jason Kidd, Tyson Chandler, great role players who were able to supplement Dirk Nowitzki. Yes, he was the one superstar at the time, but they were able to do so. Let's see here for Francis Temple and Mavs in 6. Hope we get game 1, as was the previous series. Q Dog Catboy, Stephen Jones not paying Diggs. Book it. Cuban should pay Brunson in December. Wow, 5 years, $120 million. Let's see here from Devon 4647. Mavs fans are delusional as F. Whoa, what's with the slander, man? You saw what the Mavericks just did to the Phoenix Suns in 7 games. They have a right to feel the way that they feel because the Mavericks are playing with the house money right now. They're the team with the confidence. They're the team that's in rhythm right now. And look, you've seen throughout the course of these playoffs, anything can happen. And the Mavericks have proven that anything can happen in these playoffs. So I'd pump the brakes on that Devon 4647 because the Mavericks fans got a lot of confidence about them now proving it to the rest of the country that they are able to do what they did and following up what they did against the Suns in Golden State. If Golden State double teams Luka, I think Dorian has to take advantage of the opportunity. He has to shoot in volume throughout the entire game. Completely agree there. Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, Spencer Dinwiddie, they will all have their opportunities. They've got to knock down shots because here's what I think Golden State may look to do in this series, much like how Phoenix tried to do, but obviously it wasn't able to work. Luka, you can go get yours. You can go get that 40, that 45, all you want to, but none of these other dudes are going to beat them. If you look at what the Dallas Mavericks did or what the Phoenix Suns did to Devin Booker, they said anybody but Booker. And that's exactly what they did in Game 7 going forward. Hey, Q-Dog, appreciate the super chat, man. Always appreciate the support, and you always drop it in the super chat, man. That means a lot. I love the content, and congratulations on your new show on 105.3 The Fan. Tolo, keep putting in work. Love hearing your point of view. Hey, Q-Dog, really appreciate that, man. Join us May 23rd, my debut show with my partner, Reginald Atatula. That will be on May the 23rd from 7 to 11 on 105 The Fan. But again, appreciate the super chat and appreciate you dropping that in there, man. That means a lot to me that you continue to support, and we'll definitely keep bringing that fire content for you right here, not just on Kevin Gray Sports, but also on 105.3 The Fan. Really appreciate that. Dropping that super chat in there. You can drop a super chat in there like Q-Dog did. You can become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. You can also throw in a super sticker if you want to support here, right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Inside the Mavs Live, Mavericks Warriors Western Conference Game 1 preview. Can Luka Doncic come to steal Game 1 on the road? For K-Choice 25, Bertans will be the difference maker. This matchup is ideal for his sharpshooting. I agree. Davis Bertans could be an X factor in this series, and his ability to stretch the floor from the three-point line. We talked about a lot of this with the Warriors in terms of their ability to shoot the ball from three. The Mavericks can do the same. Davis Bertans can get you a quick 10, 12, 15 points, on 3-4 3-pointers. That can change and bend the math on what things happen going forward for the Mavericks in this series. From incompetent engineering, the Suns were genuinely disappointing from the get-go. I don't want to sound negative, but the moment they needed 6 to get past the Pelicans, I kind of expected them to not reach the finals. Well, look, Devin Booker, I think, missed games 3, 4, and 5, returned from Game 6. It's hard to win games without one of your best players. Chris Paul was obviously spectacular in Game 6 of that series. But at the same time, if you feel that way, I won't knock you for it. From Cowboy, one of our Gray Area Club members, let's see here. I 100% agree. Teams intentionally leave Maxey and Dorian open at times because they won't shoot. Yep, exactly. K. Hardy, Marky Calendar for May 23rd. Yeah, Marky Calendar for May 23rd there for sure. My man Devon 4647 is back. The Suns was never going to win. Only analysts hyped them up well, and their fans, Warriors are a true 1 seed any year if they make it. I don't know necessarily about all of that. I get where you're trying to come from there, but let's look at it real quick. The Suns were by far the best team in the league, one of the best defenses in the league. They devastate you with their mid-range. Chris Paul, one of the best point guards, in NBA history. Devin Booker, one of the best scorers in the league. They had, to me, what I thought was the perfect modern lineup when you look at their defense, their length. If Mikal Bridges was a legitimate finalist for Defensive Player of the Year, they had all the ingredients for a team that had just made it to the NBA Finals last year to be able to get back there They just didn't account for the Mavericks having the kind of shooting performance that they did, especially in Game 7. Let's see here. For Charlie Myers, Mavs all the way. Antonio Salazar, yes, it's Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. But KG, your thoughts on Sasha Banks and Naomi walking out of Raw? Knowing your worth is what that is. Knowing what you're worth, what you're capable of, and not taking no guff from Vince McMahon. I love what Naomi and Sasha did. I hope it works out for them, and I hope they get everything they deserve because they deserve to be treated better as not just only the women's tag team champions, but the superstars that they are, especially in Sasha Banks' case. But great question. Appreciate that. And hopefully got that question answered for you. From Zoom, Nino Maria, Mavs in 5. Lucifer, Jimmy Butler always performs great in the finals. Yeah, Jimmy Butler was fantastic in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics. My man dropped 41 points, didn't shoot or didn't make a single three in that game. Let's see here. From Luka Skywalker 77, not going to get tired of people saying all-star starter Andrew Wiggins every time Luka trades. That's a great point, Luka Skywalker. Yes. Andrew Wiggins was an all-star. And one thing about Luka be taking stuff personally, man. You could tell he clearly took it personal, the stuff that was happening in the series with the Suns, the whole Devin Booker stuff, the whole Chris Paul stuff. My man took it personally, and I expect him to hunt the heck out of Andrew Wiggins because that's the thing. And we touched on it briefly a little bit earlier in the show. Luka can go hunt whomever he wants to defensively in this series. Stephen Curry, not going to be able to do anything with him. Klay Thompson, compromised physically, not going to be able to do much with him. Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, no. They're going to have to throw multiple bodies at him, double teams, at times triple teams on him, and dare everyone else to knock down shots. And they'll have to try and prove that they can do it in this series. Obviously, Draymond Green is going to take his turn. But again, doesn't have the quickness to be able to stay with Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic can put Stephen Curry in the post if he wants to. He can put Andrew Wiggins down in the post if he wants to. Use his strength to finish. He's a 3-level scorer. Can finish at the rim, can hit in the mid-range. And obviously when he's going from the three-point line with his step backs, there's nothing you could do with him at that point. So the Golden State Warriors will have to employ different things to try and get him out of his rhythm. But more importantly, trying to be able to get the ball out of his hands. And I'm sure you'll see some trapping in Game 1, some multiple guys running out trying to blitz Luka to get the ball out of his hands, to make Brunson and to make other guys put the ball on the floor to attack the rim. And we know that the Warriors, when the Mavericks are at their best, they are attacking the rim. Let's see here. From Incompetent Engineering, it's pretty curious that Doncic's efficiency isn't particularly extraordinary. He's closer to Kobe in that stat slash than I expected, even if he isn't quite on the terms of play style. Well, he's going to stuff the stat sheet regardless. And when Luka Doncic is at his best is when his usage rate is lower. He's always going to be a number 1 or 2 guy in this league when it comes to usage rate because of the heliocentric offense that they run. Everything revolves around Luka Doncic. So he's always going to have the ball in his hands. He's always going to be a guy that's going to have an extremely high usage rate. When this team is at its best, though, they're sharing the basketball, they're limiting the turnovers, and they're able to make shots and be able to capitalize on their opportunities when Luka Doncic finds them from open jumpers. That's when things are really good for the Mavericks. So if you see a stat line for Luka Doncic of 30 points, 9-10 rebounds, 8-9 assists, that will tell you a lot about the efficiency of his other guys around him and their ability to knock down shots. And that if his usage rate is down, that means the ball is moving, number 1. Guys are making the extra pass to be able to find guys and then attack the rim. And Maxi Kleber, who I thought did a good job of this as the series went on against the Suns, he attacked closeouts, and he had the confidence to put the ball on the deck and to be able to make things happen for him at the rim. So they're going to have to do a lot of those same things when you start looking at what the Mavericks are going to do in this series. From Wet Camera Inc., is this an unpredictable series? I think it can be, and it will be, because you never know what can happen when you get guys like Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson on the floor shooting the basketball the way that they do. Let's see here from Zoom. Luka is the only player who has been in more finals and decisive moments of the entire basketball plan since he was 18. I like the point. Albert Gonzalez, do the Mavs give JB a max contract this offseason? It won't be a max, but I think he is in the 9-figure range now. I think he has put himself in position to earn a 4-year, $100 million deal. Maybe if you're looking at the $90 million range, he's earned 8 to 9 figures. Whether be, look, I'll say this: it will be at least $80 million. It will be no less than that for Jalen Brunson this offseason. I think it does get up to the $100 million mark this offseason for Jalen Brunson. From Cowboy here, who would you start in the series? Your starting 5 and rotation. Starting 5, Luka, Dorian, Reggie Bullock, Brunson. Dwight Powell's going to be your starting 5. Your first guys off the bench: Spencer Dinwiddie, Maxi Kleber, Frank Ntilikina. I think it's part of that rotation now. Obviously, Davis Bertans will see his opportunities in minutes as well. But those are my top 8, if you will: Luka, JB, Dorian, Reggie, Dwight Powell. Your starting 5. Your first 3 off the bench: Spencer Dinwiddie, Maxi Kleber, and Frank Ntilikina in this series. I think those are your 8 guys that you will see consistently throughout this series. Davis Bertans will have his opportunities in this series. You may get some Josh Green minutes, but those are my first 8 off the on the floor for the Mavericks, if you will. Again, make sure you're smashing that like button there right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Going to spend about another 5 or so minutes with you guys before we get out of here today. Again, join me exclusively at 1 o'clock. We're going to have our exclusive 105 through the fan spaces there. So join me there. We'll talk more about the series. If you want to join in as well, make sure you follow me at Kevin Gray Sports so you can see when I go live there. And also for 105 through the fan, you can join there. Make sure you join that spaces at 1 p.m. for 105.3 the fan and comment engineering. Oh, appreciate the analysis. Yeah, you're very welcome. Appreciate that. Appreciate the comment there on the analysis there. Let's see here from Antonio Salazar. By the time Luka hits his prime, he will have a full sleeve of tats. Hashtag Slovenian Savage. I kind of like that nickname, actually. Let's see here. John Quell. Hi, Kevin. First 2 series, they try to eliminate opponents' bigs, which they succeeded. Now they're playing a team with no big. Do you think the Mavericks are still going to live and die with their threes? Yeah, they're going to take a bunch of threes in this series. And you're kind of forced into some of that because of how well the Golden State Warriors can knock down shots from the outside. That's the kind of an X factor in this series, is that Golden State's going to put pressure on you with their ability to knock down shots, with their ability to do so consistently from the outside. So the Mavericks have to take a bunch of threes in this series. They're capable of obviously knocking down a bunch of threes. But more importantly, the biggest thing that they have to do, they have to attack the paint. The Golden State Warriors have no rim protection. They don't have a guy that you look at and say, Kevon Looney, Bielitsa, Draymond Green. None of these guys are going to be able to protect the paint in that way. So constantly attack this team off the dribble, attack them getting into the paint, force them to commit to what they want to do defensively. Because here's the beautiful part about Luka Doncic. When Luka Doncic gets into attack mode and is constantly attacking the rim, the decisions that defenses have to make on him, because we know he can put defenders in jail, he controls the pace of the game with the way that he's able to handle offense. He's going to make the Warriors make bad decisions defensively. It's up to the players around him to make them pay for those bad decisions by knocking down outside shots if they can. As Frosty Nugs accurately points out, a guy like Jalen Brunson can eat, because he can take guys off the dribble, use his physicality to finish at the rim. He's capable of doing that. All of that is going to have to come into play in this series, but constantly attacking the rim and taking not only just wide open shots, but at times make the extra pass to go from a good to a great shot. The Mavericks can do that in this series if they are wanting to do so and attacking the rim constantly there. For Cowboy Kid, gave everyone a chance to prove their worth. I think some guys prove their worth and others are playing themselves off the team. All right. From Incompetent Engineering, the Mavericks have a surprising amount of X factors, guys that aren't significant contracts, but are are those that can definitely turn a series. All the Warriors have more consistent, proven core. I would agree with that. Bertans, that's an X factor for me that could really bend the math in this series. From Christian, appreciate you joining us here in our Mavs YouTube chat room. Going to go for about another 5 minutes here before we get out of here today in our Mavericks Inside the Mavs Live Mavericks Warriors Conference, Western Conference Game 1 preview. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Again, make sure you subscribe right here to Kevin Gray Sports on YouTube. You can become a Gray Area club member for just a few bucks a month. I would love for you to join here as we bring you that fire content, especially for the Mavericks right here on Kevin Gray Sports. From Christian, they say defense wins championships. Do you think the Mavs have the defensive advantage? That's a tough one. These are two terrific defensive teams. I think the way that the Mavericks defend Stephen Curry is going to tell us everything we need to know about the series, how they attack him, how they decide to throw length, throw physicality with him. He's going to run you ragged off the screens, actions, flare screens, all the things that they do to get him into action, to create the opportunities that he does. And obviously for him, that's going to be a key for them going forward when it comes to this series. So we'll see how that works out, obviously, when it comes to his ability to handle things going forward there. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And for the Mavericks, it's going to be important for them to be able to close out and use those opportunities when they have the ability to do so there. So, look, we'll see how that goes. And we'll appreciate it and see how it goes. Hopefully, maybe we're still in here. Hopefully it didn't get cut off. Oh, no. Did we get cut off? Hopefully not. It's okay if we did. But hey, we'll still, let's see if we get this thing to refresh real quick. Sorry about that. Hopefully it didn't mess up too much. Hopefully we're still in there. Oh no. Okay. Well, if you guys are still in there, okay. All right. Well, it looks like oh, you still here? Okay, you hear me, but you can't see me. Not sure what happened to the video, but let's see here. Oh, the video is frozen. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and have to looks like in the video. I apologize. I don't know what happened, a little technical difficulty, but I'll go ahead and let you guys go. But we'll get out of here and enjoy game 1 tonight between the Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors. And I'll talk to you later. Appreciate you guys joining in the chat room. I know you can hear me, but you can't see me. But hey, I appreciate you joining me.